If you're thinking about having a child with a man this year, these are some questions that I think you should be asking him. First and foremost, who's going to wake up with the baby in the middle of the night?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that comes up in so many marriages and long term relationships. And that's the big question: do we want to have kids? So, as per usual, I've stitched together some videos that we're all going to watch together. And please join me on the other side for my insights on this topic. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a video that I upload. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video.
If you're thinking about having a child with a man this year, these are some questions that I think you should be asking him. First and foremost, who's going to wake up with the baby in the middle of the night? You? Me? Both of us? Who's going to wake up with the baby? Now, the answer to this question will be very telling because not only do men often assume that women should be doing the bulk of the overnights with the baby, they also assume that women are just inherently better at caregiving, that they know what they're doing with this baby. When in fact, most women are parents for the first time as well, and so they are learning as they go. And the reason this question is important is it's going to tell you a lot about what your partner expects to do in those early days of parenting. Do you plan to take parental leave if it's available to you? If there is a paid parental leave available to you through your employer, will you take it? Here's the thing about paid parental leave. Even when men have it, they don't always take it, which is surprising to so many people because we assume that if you have paid parental leave, why wouldn't you take it? But when you ask them, they say they don't want to hurt their careers, that it's frowned upon in their workplace. But what they don't realize is when they don't take their paid parental leave, they're directly harming women in the workforce. They're feeding into the motherhood penalty. When women have children, they are punished for it. When men have children, there's something called the fatherhood bonus. They do better in their careers, they earn more money, whereas women do worse after having children. If we plan to put our kid in childcare, who do you think should cover the cost of childcare? When it comes to childcare, oftentimes families find themselves in a position where they're unable to find childcare or unable to afford childcare. And when they're doing this math, oftentimes men will say things like, her salary does not cover the cost of childcare, therefore it doesn't make sense for her to work. But let's think about childcare like we think about the mortgage. It is a shared family expense. It is not something that she is solely responsible for. If we can't afford the cost of childcare, who's going to stay home to watch the baby? Is it you? Is it me? Are we sharing the responsibility? What's that going to look like? Now, if we can't afford the childcare, who's going to stay home? Because oftentimes this work disproportionately falls to women. They are forced out of the workforce due to the cost of childcare, lack of paid leave, and the motherhood penalty. But it does not have to be like this because men aren't always out earning their partner. And just because they are, it does not mean they're the obvious choice to stay in the workforce. What do you think it means to be a good dad? And why do we ask them what it means to be a good dad? We ask this question because there's many double standards when it comes to parenting. Women are held to an incredibly high standard when it comes to parenting, and men are held to a very low standard when it comes to parenting. And so when they say, what's a good dad? They might say, oh, he provides for his family, he protects his family, but it takes a lot more than that to be a good dad. Do you know what the mental load is? And if so, are you prepared to handle it? Now, why do we have to talk about the mental load? Well, it's one of the number one reasons that women resent their partner after having children. It's also the number one reason that women are burnt out after having children. The mental load is constant and never ending, and oftentimes women carry the bulk of this work. Kids create a lot of chores: laundry, dishes, cooking, cleaning. How do you think we should handle that? Women often do a disproportionate amount of this work. They are doing exponentially more work in the home than their partners are, even when they're the breadwinner and they actually work more hours. These are conversations a lot of people don't have before having kids, and you absolutely should, because you will talk to so many women who are married with children and they will say, our marriage was perfect until we had kids. He said he was going to be a good dad, and then we had kids. The expectations for women and men in parenthood are very different, and so it's very important to have conversations about this early and often.
Here's what you need to understand and remember. Children are a temporary assignment. They're a temporary assignment. You will have them for 18, 19 years, unless you have a millennial. They may be there for 30 years or whatever. I'm just saying. So I told you I'll poke back at you. You poke at me, I'll poke back at you, right? You may have them for 30 years, but at some point, it's healthy to push them out and say, you go serve Jesus and you live on your own. They're a temporary assignment. Your marriage is till death do us part.
When do you know you're ready to have kids financially?
First and foremost, kind of try and work out what the costs are. Biggest cost is the fact that typically the household will go down from 2 incomes to 1. So it's not necessarily the pram or the best car seat. I always plan for 12 months. Why is that? Even if they go, oh, I only want to take 6 months off and then I'm happy to get back into it, or 9, or whatever the case may be, we like to plan for 12. Why? That just ensures that there's space for them to take the time if they choose to. In terms of the cost, what we think about is what are the fixed costs over that period? What are the non-negotiables? The mortgage, the rent, the things like that. How much money do we need for that? And then how much do we need for the day-to-day? We then make sure that we're really clear in terms of what the parental leave policies are at their employer. Beyond that, it's then a conversation around, okay, do you envisage going back to work part-time or full-time? And then how, if we were to go back part-time, can a part-time plus a full-time salary then cover the bills and expenses and things like that? And then also taking into account childcare. There's not a set figure.
Yeah, it's not like 100 grand saved, you're good.
No, because everyone's costs and
Yeah,
incomes and things like that are different.
These are the conversations I would have before you have a baby. Be very clear and upfront on your expectations of each other. Do you expect your spouse to stop gaming all the time? Do you think they should just set a time limit? Do you think that your spouse should stop having their weekly nights out with their friends? Do you expect them home at certain times? Do you expect that they should be talking to you before going out and making plans with other people? Who is going to be in the delivery room? Who is allowed to come up to the hospital to visit? How soon and who is able to come visit once you're home? How are you both going to proactively set boundaries with your parents who will inevitably try to put their expectations of child rearing on you both? Are you breastfeeding? Are you planning on being the only one getting up at night with the baby, or do you expect your partner to help out as well during night feedings? Who's going to get the baby ready in the morning if you're taking them to childcare? Who's going to pick them up? Who is in charge of finding the childcare? Are you okay with letting family members watch or keep your baby? And if not, talk about why. How are you going to parent your toddler? Think past the baby stage and think about how you two are going to be on the same page when it comes to parenting styles. Are you going to do the cry it out method? How are you two going to split the domestic labor moving forward so that this is equal and not just falling on the shoulders of the woman, which is typically what happens? Who's going to be the one researching the parent methods, the feeding methods, when you're going to start solids? Who's going to be the one taking the lead on that? How are you two going to stay committed to each other? Are you going to have weekly check-ins? Are you going to make it a monthly occasion that you two have a date night together? And if so, who's going to watch the baby? Family? Are you going to find a babysitter? Should you start vetting for that right now? Who's going to be the one taking baby to the doctor's appointments? Who is going to be the one accumulating all of the needs for the baby? The things that you don't get at your shower. You might not think that you have problems now, and you might not even have problems now, but there is no reason that you shouldn't be preemptively going to therapy now. Absolutely no reason you shouldn't be doing that. Skip the baby classes. If you've taken and you know basic anatomy, you're going to be just fine. Maybe take a breastfeeding class if you really think that that's what you want to do. Is your partner going to be supportive if you choose to breastfeed, or if you decide that breastfeeding is too difficult and you want to pump, or that that's too difficult and you want to bottle feed? How can they support you in those choices? Also, just think past 1 year, 18 months. Because having a baby is a very short-lived scenario. You are going to have a toddler, a young adult, and a teen for a much longer period than you're going to have a simple baby. Granted, yes, babies are hard, but plan for further past that point. Talk about expectations now. Express them now. Do not leave them on the table unexpressed, because that is an open door for resentment. Tell me what you think I missed in the comments of things that you think conversations should be had.
When should a couple start to think about having kids?
The direct answer to that question is when you're ready. Are people ready at different times in their life? Of course. What are the things you need to be ready to have kids? A strong relationship with your husband or wife, financial stability, a plan with your career and your life as to where you're going, and even all the other incidentals, like where are you gonna live? Like, what schools, all of these things you can plan out well in advance. I don't wanna put a lot of pressure on people, but the reality is being ready is not just like, hey, I wanna have kids today. Being ready is a plan, and only the two of you can decide when you're ready.
All right. Now, the decision to have kids is one of the most important life-changing decisions you ever make. And I think it deserves a conversation that's a little more thoughtful than the usual. So, when are you guys going to have a baby? because let me tell you, there's so much more to consider than people often think. So today we're breaking it down. If you've ever asked yourself, are we ready or is this the right time? Then this video is for you. So let's talk about what to really think about before bringing children into the picture. The first question you should ask yourself is why you want to have kids. It's the most important question. What's your reason for wanting to become a parent? Is it love? Is it legacy? Is it just pure curiosity? Or you want to give a child a better life than you had? Or is it pressure from your family, your culture, your religion, or even social media? There's no right answer, but being honest about your why helps you make a choice that's rooted in intention and not expectation. So, children are a gift, but they are not a fix. They are not a solution to marital problems. They won't fill up emotional voids. So, before you decide when, please ask yourself why. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is, are you and your partner on the same page? Because this one is crucial. Do the both of you want kids? And if so, how many kids do you want to have? Um, and also looking at the time frame, when do you want these kids to come into the picture? And what's the vision for parenting in your households? Because having children when only one person is truly ready is actually worse. When one parent is unsure but goes along with it, it can lead to resentment, it can lead to disconnection as well as heartbreak. So, talk, really talk, even if it's awkward, even if you think you already know. Keep checking in because parenting is a partnership and it works best when both people are walking into it with open eyes and open hearts. So you don't want to have children with someone that will not be emotionally available for those children because that's an unfair situation to put a child that did not ask to be born, right? So the third question you should ask yourself is, are you ready to be unselfish every day? Now, parent is beautiful, yes, but it's also relentless. There will be moments when your needs come second or third, when sleep becomes a luxury, when privacy disappears, when you're touched out, when you're worn out, and you're trying not to lose it over spilled juice and a toddler meltdown, you still have to show up. So, are you in a place where you can put someone else's needs ahead of your own consistently? Because love is what brings a child into the world, but sacrifice is what raises them. Another question you should ask yourself is, currently, how is your relationship holding up? Because before kids come into the picture, check the foundation. Are you and your partner communicating well? Do you handle conflict with care? Are you sharing responsibilities? Because adding children to a shaky marriage won't magically make it stronger. It will magnify everything that's already there, both the good and the bad. So if there are cracks, tend to them now. If you need to go to therapy, please go. If you need to heal something, please start. Your future kids will benefit from the love and safety you create between the two of you. Another very important thing that you should ask yourself before having children is, what are your finances saying? Let's talk real life. Kids cost money, a lot of it. You've got diapers, you've got daycare, you've got doctor's visits, you've got clothes, you've got education. It adds up quickly. You don't have to be rich to raise great kids, but you do need a plan. So ask yourselves, do we have a financial cushion? How will maternity and paternity leave affect us? What's our childcare plan? So, budgeting before the baby shows up helps reduce stress and gives your family a more stable start. Another question you want to ask yourself is, what kind of parent do you want to be? This is one of those questions people skip, but it matters. So, question is, how were you raised? And what do you want to keep? What do you want to do differently? What are your values around discipline, around affection, around independence, as well as education? And here's the big one. Have you done your inner work? Because kids have a way of exposing everything we've avoided in ourselves. They hold up a mirror. They press buttons we didn't know we have. So, parenting isn't just about raising them, it's also about raising ourselves. Moving on, another question you have to ask yourself is, how will this change your life? And if so, are you okay with that? This is one that is very hard to say out loud sometimes. But becoming a parent will change your life. It will affect your sleep, it will affect your time, it will affect your energy as well as your body, including your priorities, your relationship, as well as your identity. So it doesn't mean you lose yourself, but you will evolve. And it's okay to grieve the life you're leaving behind even as you celebrate what's ahead. So ask yourself, what are we willing to give up or shift for this season of life? What kind of support system do we have? What's our plan for staying connected as a couple? Because preparation won't make it perfect, but it does make it more intentional. Another thing that you have to consider is, what if it doesn't go as planned? And then there's this. Sometimes the road to parenthood isn't straight. Maybe it takes longer than expected. Maybe it requires fertility treatment. Maybe you experience loss. Or maybe you find your way to parenthood through adoption, fostering, or bonus parenting. So it's important to talk about all of that because being emotionally prepared for possibility, not just the ideal, helps you face whatever comes with grace, compassion, as well as strength. Moving on, I would like to say you can love kids and still choose not to have them. So let's make space for this truth as well. You can be nurturing, you can be loving, generous, and wise. You can love children deeply and still decide not to become a parent. So that is not selfish, it's not unnatural, it's a valid, thoughtful decision. So if you're feeling unsure, give yourself permission to explore those feelings without guilt. Parenthood is not a requirement for a meaningful life. You get to define your own legacy. So, if you're thinking about having kids, I hope this conversation gave you something deeper to consider. And yes, kids bring joy, so much joy, but they also require presence, patience, as well as preparation. And there's nothing wrong with taking your time to get clear. This isn't a decision you rush, it's one you honor. So talk to your partner, check in with your own heart, ask the hard questions, and whatever you choose, make it from a place of love, not pressure. So I want to hear from you guys. If you're in the stage of deciding whether or not to have kids, what's the biggest thing on your mind? Drop it in the comments below. Let's talk about it with honesty and grace. And also, if this episode helped you, go ahead and hit like, share it with someone you love, and subscribe so you don't miss more deep, real conversations like this one. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and most importantly, take care of each other. I'll see you in the next one. From me, it's goodbye.